I thought it was finally over. Layla was in custody. The online smear campaign was shut down. My identity was legally restored. I was safe, or so I thought. But then something happened. Someone I trusted started saying things only Layla would know. And that's when I realized, she may be behind bars, but she's still inside my life, through someone I never suspected. This is part 2 of the story. If you haven't seen the first part, go watch it now. I'm putting the link in the description. For everyone else, let's pick up right where we left off. After everything, I moved cities again, changed my name on social media, kept my circle small, but eventually I let someone in. Her name was Cassie. She was in one of my night classes studying psychology just like me. Smart, kind, unassuming. She offered me notes when I missed a class, walked with me to the bus stop, brought me coffee before finals. It was nice to be seen by someone without judgment. She never asked too many questions, never pushed. She just listened, and I started to relax. The first red flag? A phrase. We were talking about childhood and she said, "It must have been hard always living in the shadow of a prettier sister." I never told her Layla was considered the pretty one. I never even mentioned Layla. Then another day she called me Lena. No one called me that. Except Layla. I brushed it off. Told myself I was being paranoid. After everything I'd been through, maybe I was just scared to trust again. But then I came home one day to find Cassie sitting on my front steps, smiling, holding my favorite strawberry milk. "I saw this and thought of you," she said. My blood turned cold, because Layla used to say the exact same thing. Right before she did something awful, I started digging. I searched Cassie's name, her social media, her school registration, all clean, until I looked deeper and found a Reddit account she forgot to log out of when she used my laptop. The account had dozens of comments on psychology threads, and one particular community about narcissistic siblings. One post caught my eye. "My friend's sister is sick. She framed her. She locked her up, but we're working on fixing that. Slowly. She just needs people to see the truth." The username? SisterSeeker77. The posts were filled with half-truths and twisted versions of my story, all from Cassie's perspective, but clearly fed by Layla. I took what I found and called the facility where Layla was being held. I asked if anyone named Cassie had visited recently. The nurse was hesitant, but when I gave them my lawyer's contact, they confirmed it. Cassie had been visiting Layla regularly. She'd registered under a fake name. Each visit was listed under a therapy mentorship program. Cassie claimed she was studying abnormal psychology, and Layla was her assigned patient. But she wasn't studying her. She was worshiping her. I didn't wait. I invited Cassie to lunch. Pretended everything was fine. Let her talk. Let her feel in control. Then I dropped the napkin onto the table. On it was a printed screenshot of the Reddit post and Layla's prison visitor log. Cassie froze. She tried to speak, but I leaned in. "You wanted to study someone sick? Congratulations. You found her. Just not the one you think." Her eyes welled up. She started apologizing, but I didn't care. Because I realized something even more terrifying than Layla's manipulation. People want to believe in monsters, and some of them will follow those monsters all the way into your life. Cassie's expelled now. I pressed charges. The school suspended her, the police warned her, but there wasn't enough to lock her up. Just like Layla. Because when monsters wear soft smiles and study human minds, they don't need to break the law to destroy you. They just need to get close. So I keep moving. Keep watching. Keep locking every door, even the emotional ones. Because I know Layla's not done. She doesn't need to escape to find me. She just needs to send the next messenger. And they always come smiling. After everything she did, the lies, the theft, the years she spent trying to erase me, you'd think she'd finally be gone. But Layla isn't just a liar. She's a performer, a manipulator, a master storyteller. And now, she's turned the entire world into her audience. Started with a trailer. A new indie docuseries, Fractured Sisters. The true story of identity, mental illness, and betrayal. The thumbnail? Layla. Clean sad eyes. Soft lighting. A quote under her face. I only ever wanted to be loved like she was. I felt sick. The trailer played clips of her crying, talking about abandonment, manipulation, gaslighting, and the voiceover? This is the side of the story no one wanted to hear. Until now. Within a week, Layla had a fanbase. Hashtag Justice for Layla started trending. Comment sections filled with strangers saying I was the narcissist, that I'd fabricated everything, that Layla was clearly just mentally ill and abused by a controlling sister. Someone even created AI art of Layla in a broken mirror, with my face in the shards, a symbol of her tormentor. Sponsors pulled out of my school speaker program. I lost freelance work. I got hate emails, all because of a beautifully edited lie. And Layla? She was granted limited media access for therapeutic expression. She had interviews, PR team, a manager. I dug deeper, tracked the company producing the documentary, and guess who funded it? An anonymous trust set up under the name A.C. Crawford, the initials of my late grandmother. Layla had somehow used old family documents, maybe one she stole long ago, to access a dormant family trust. She wasn't doing this to heal. She was doing it to win, to take control of the narrative. Because in her mind, she didn't just want to wear my life. She wanted people to cheer while she did it. One rainy evening, there was a knock at my door. I looked through the peephole. It wasn't Layla. It was Ethan. Yes, my ex. The man Layla married while pretending to be me. The man who annulled the marriage after finding out the truth. He looked different. Tired. Ashamed. He said, "Can we talk?" I let him in. He stood there for a moment like he didn't know where to start. Then finally said, "I watched the documentary." I stayed silent. At first, I believed her again. That part stung. I know what she did. But when I saw her on that screen crying vulnerable, I thought maybe she changed. Maybe she really was a victim too. He sat down. After the annulment, I blocked her. But months later she emailed me. Said she was in treatment. Said she forgave me. Said you had turned her family against her. I clenched my jaw. I told myself I was just being supportive, that I was helping her heal. But the truth is, part of me still wanted to believe the version of her I fell in love with. The sweet, broken girl who said you were the controlling one. He paused. So yeah, I responded. We started talking again. She sent me early cuts of the documentary, asked me to film a statement for it. I did. My stomach dropped. They didn't air it. But I stood there and defended her. On camera. Said maybe you were lying. Said she deserved a second chance. He looked up at me, guilt heavy in his voice. But then, I watched one of the raw takes. Just a slip. She said, "I was always meant to be Alina. She just got there first." That's when it hit me. She didn't want healing. She wanted your life again. She hadn't changed. She just found a camera instead of a disguise. He pulled a USB from his coat pocket and handed it to me. The crew gave me access to the raw footage, off the record. I copied what I could. "I think you'll want this." I took it silently, but inside I was screaming. Not just at Layla, but at him. Because he didn't just fall for her once. He came back for more. Even after the truth. Even after me. On that drive. Raw footage. Unedited interviews. Behind-the-scenes clips. In one, Layla snapped at her crew. "If you cut that part about me, practicing Alina's handwriting, I swear." In another, she laughed while mimicking a crying scene. Do I look devastated enough? Or should I say the thing about the doll again? She even said off camera. It's funny. No one cared when she was the victim. But make me look fragile. And suddenly I'm America's sweetheart. I sent the footage to a lawyer. To the media. It didn't erase the damage. But it fractured the illusion. The documentary's second part was delayed. Sponsors backed out. And Layla's manager issued a pause in all public appearances due to health concerns. Layla hasn't spoken publicly since. She's still in a facility. But now heavily monitored, media privileges revoked, trust fund access frozen. I've started rebuilding again. But I know better now. This isn't a happy ending. This is a pause in a long, sick game. Because Layla doesn't need freedom to hurt me. She just needs a story. And if the world's willing to listen, She'll find a way to be the hero next time, too. For weeks it was quiet. Layla was off social media. No more interviews. No more manipulation. No whispers in the dark. It felt like the storm had passed. But the truth? She wasn't done. She was just preparing for the grand finale. After the raw documentary footage leaked, the backlash was brutal for her. The crew was investigated. Her PR team dropped her. And the public finally started to see through the mask. No more posts. No visits. Not even a court hearing. For the first time in years, Layla disappeared. People told me to breathe. They said it was over. But I knew her better than anyone. Layla doesn't vanish. She waits. It was 7:12 a.m. when I got the message. A simple email. No sender name. Just a PDF attachment. The subject line? Final resting place, Layla Crawford. I opened it. A funeral notice. A hospital report. A death certificate. Layla was dead. Cause of death. Apparent suicide. No obituary. No family statement. Just a quiet, anonymous burial scheduled the next day at a remote cemetery. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. Felt wrong. Too simple. Too clean. But part of me, the exhausted part, wanted to believe it. I didn't want to go. But I had to. I had to see it with my own eyes. It was raining. The cemetery was small, quiet, empty, except for one figure. A woman in a long gray coat, holding a black umbrella. I assumed she was staff, until she turned to me and said, "I thought you'd come. She always said you would." I stepped back. "Who are you?" She introduced herself as Camilla, a grief counselor from the facility. She said she had worked with Layla during her final weeks. She was fragile, Camilla said softly. She wanted forgiveness. I narrowed my eyes. Why didn't anyone contact me? Camilla shrugged, almost rehearsed. She didn't want you to know. Not until the end. I looked down at the small sealed envelope she handed me. Layla's handwriting on the front. Before I opened it, I asked another question. Did she contact our parents? Did they even know she was dead? Camilla hesitated for the first time. No. She said she didn't want them to mourn her. Not after everything. So you didn't tell them about the funeral either? She shook her head. She insisted on privacy. Said if anyone deserved to say goodbye, it was you. I stared at her, trying to read between every word. Because something felt wrong. Too controlled. Too convenient. And when I opened the envelope, I knew why. Inside it said, "Alina, I'm sorry. But if I can't be you, maybe this will finally set you free." No apology. No peace. Just a warning disguised as closure. The moment I got home, everything felt off. Lights were on that I hadn't left. A window in the kitchen was unlocked. And then, my phone buzzed. New device logged into your account. I froze. Then another. Password changed. Then another. Your email address has been updated. I grabbed my laptop, opened it, locked out. Everything was gone. Email, bank, social media, even my medical records. I checked the envelope Camilla gave me. It was empty, except for a USB. I plugged it in. A video opened, and there she was. Layla, very much alive. Smiling. You believed it, didn't you? Everyone always falls for a good ending. A little funeral. A little pity. And suddenly the door's wide open again. You were careful, Alina. I'll give you that. But I was patient. She leaned in toward the camera, her smile dropping into something colder. Almost mechanical. I watched your interviews, you know. Your carefully crafted statements. All that calm, all that control. You looked respectable. Like someone people would believe. But you and I both know that's just another mask. I sat in silence, fists clenched. Did you think forgiveness was going to save you? She said, almost laughing. Did you think the world was just going to move on? You humiliated me, Alina. She shifted in her chair. Her voice grew softer. Do you remember when we were little, and I broke Mom's favorite vase? You covered for me. Lied for me. You were the good girl. Always the good girl. Always so quiet, so steady, so safe. And then you left. You left me to drown in the mess that you let them create. So I made a choice. I stopped being the broken one. I stopped being your shadow. Her eyes locked on the camera lens. You tried to erase me. Now I'm erasing you. She reached out a frame and held up something. A stack of documents. I leaned forward. They were printouts of my bank details, medical history, even a prescription list. Everything you've built? I can take it all. Your clean record. Your job. Your name. You think people will question it when I take over again? She paused. Because guess what, Alina? They never really knew you. You were always invisible. I just filled the space you left behind. And this time, I'm not coming for your boyfriend, or your family, or your face. I'm coming for your legacy. I couldn't move. Then she leaned back in her chair, eyes gleaming. I thought about disappearing forever. I almost did. But then I realized, what fun would that be? See, I don't want to disappear. I want you to. She gave one final smile. Cold. Wide. Empty. And when the dust settles, and there's only room for one of us, they'll remember my name. Not yours. The screen cut to black. Turns out, the death certificate was fake. The hospital report? Forged. Camilla, a former patient of the same facility. Someone Layla had manipulated months ago, just like Cassie. They planned this for weeks. Layla staged her death to lower my guard. And while I was standing at her fake grave, she was in my apartment, downloading files, planting evidence, accessing everything she could. But this time, she made one mistake. She logged into my bank account from my own IP address. That was enough for police to trace it. They found her 3 days later, hiding in an Airbnb, booked under a fake name, with a duffel bag full of fake IDs, wigs, burner phones, and my stolen documents. She's now in federal custody. This time not for mental health treatment but identity fraud, cybercrime, and stalking. She's facing real prison time. I should feel safe. But I don't. Because people like Layla don't stop when they're caught. They just pause until the spotlight returns. And next time, she won't fake her death. She'll fake mine. It's strange how silence doesn't always feel like peace. Some nights it feels louder than anything Layla ever screamed. She's gone. Locked away. No access to the internet. No access to me. But the damage she caused? That stayed. I live differently now. I double-check every lock. Even when I'm sure I've already turned it. I leave lights on in hallways I don't use. I pause before logging into any account, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, wondering if she's still in there somewhere. Sometimes it's panic. Sudden, sharp, breathless. Like when my phone buzzes in the middle of the night. Or when I see a shadow outside my window, and my mind whispers, she's back. Even when I know she's not. Other days it's worse. Nothing at all. Numbness. Disconnection. I sit in a room I decorated with furniture I bought, living a life I rebuilt. And I wonder if any of it is really mine. Because when someone tries to take your identity, not just your name but your story, your face, your existence, you don't just lose what they steal. You start to question what's left behind. But I'm learning. Learning to breathe through the panic. To open the window without imagining her crawling through it. To go outside and not scan the crowd for her eyes. I go to therapy now. Twice a week. I talk about the parts one used to try to ignore. The guilt, the shame, the anger I buried so deeply I forgot it was there. And I'm finally realizing, none of this was my fault. She was broken. And she wanted to break me too. So I'd match. But I survived. Not because I'm stronger. Not because I fought harder. But because I finally learned how to stop carrying the blame she handed me like a gift. I don't owe her my fear anymore. I still live with scars. Mental ones. Emotional ones. Some that don't bleed but still ache when the memories pull too hard. But I'm healing. One boundary. One breath. One truth at a time. If you've ever felt like someone tried to erase you, to rewrite your story without your permission, you're not alone. Healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, exhausting, slow, but it's real. And it's yours.